Hello everybody, welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to go over how to determine bias. We're going to utilize multiple time frames using a top-down approach from the daily to the 4-hour, to the 1-hour, to the 15-minute, and the lower time frames to come to your bias. We're going to use similar and very, very simple structure and concepts that you all know very well. So without further ado, let's get into it. What are we seeing here on the charts in the daily time frame from this point? Well, clearly price came low, did its damage to the downside, took out all of these lows, swept the lows, came up, inverse this gap here, inverse this gap here. Price then started to make a move to the upside. State of delivery has been clearly shown as bullish to this point, disrespecting bearish gaps. And from this point, we are respecting bullish gaps like this one right here. So on the daily time frame, we have a daily bullish fair value gap that we're going to mark out right here that has been respected. The state of delivery is bullish, and now this daily imbalance that price came down, retested, is being respected. On the daily time frame, what do we have? We also have clear relative equal highs to the upside that price can gravitate towards over time. So we have objectives to the upside on the daily time frame. We have the state of delivery being clearly bullish, prices showing a willingness to head higher, and it stems now from this retest to this daily bullish imbalance. So we look and say, okay, price is clearly showing a willingness to head to the upside, inversing this bearish gap right here. So yes, things are consistent on the daily time frame to look to the objectives to the upside. So then from this point, heading into this session, I want to go to the 4-hour and see if the 4-hour is consistent with the daily time frame. What do we have from this point? When price tapped into this daily bullish imbalance, what did we do? Swept sell side right here. So we have a sweep of this sell side liquidity on the 4-hour that then taps into this daily bullish imbalance, respects it, clean reversal from this point, inverses this minor bearish gap here. And what do we form right here? We have a 4-hour bullish fair value gap that forms. So what do we do? Sweep of liquidity, daily bullish imbalance, rejection, reversal to the upside, clear expansion up, 4-hour bullish imbalance forms, price retraces into it, midpoint respected here of the fair value gap, and that one as well is being respected. What do we have? Well, my eyes go right here. Clear equal highs on the 4-hour that is in the direction of the higher time frame draw on price, which is the bias to the upside on the daily time frame. So when I look at this, state of delivery is bullish, sweep of liquidity here of this low in a daily bullish fair value gap, clean reversal, expansion to the upside, 4-hour bullish imbalance being respected to this point, clear equal highs to the upside. So yes, the 4-hour is consistent with the daily time frame. So from this point, I'm going to go to the 1-hour, see if it's consistent as well, to formulate that clear bias to the upside. Now, on the 1-hour, we swept this low, clearly, the 4-hour low I pointed out. Huge bearish imbalance here, inversed. Bullish sign right there. State of delivery is bullish. 1-hour bullish fair value gap right here, tapped into just barely and being respected to this point. What else do we have? Okay, clear expansion to the upside, equal highs there, clearly defined, and we have several 1-hour bullish fair value gaps here. We have 1, we have 2, and we have 3 right here. So yes, clear expansion to the upside, a clear willingness to head higher on the 1-hour that is consistent with the 4-hour, that is consistent with the daily time frame, and we have clear draws to the upside like this equal highs right here. So from this point, the state of delivery is bullish, the daily time frame clear respect for this daily bullish imbalance, sell side sweep, clear respect for the 4-hour bullish imbalance, clear respect for 1-hour bullish imbalances with clear equal highs to the upside. So yes, everything is consistent to this point. So then heading into this session, I want to see on the 50-minute if we get a setup that is consistent with the bias that we have determined, which is bullish, clear objectives to the upside, clear drawn liquidity from the daily to the 4-hour to the 1-hour, and now we're on the 15-minute. So everything here is clear cut. Clearly, there was a willingness to head higher. So I'm going to go on the 1-hour and we're going to approach this AM session, and I want to see what price does from this point. What do we do here? So we're digging into these 1-hour bullish imbalances. This is a good thing to see. Why? Because you want to see price dig into a discount for longs. You don't want to take longs in a premium. You want to take longs in a discount where price is delivering at a good price. Now, what do we have on the 15-minute? Oh, look at this. We have equal highs right here. So now we have equal highs on the 15-minute, a clear draw for price to gravitate towards later on. That is consistent with the 4-hour equal highs. That is consistent with the daily objective to the upside right here. And the state of delivery is clearly bullish on all these higher time frames. So ideally, from this point, I want to see price sweep below, rebalance to a 50-minute bullish imbalance, one of the two, and then make a move to the upside. So heading into this AM session, we have a sweep of this low right here. And then I want to see what price does from this point. Price then comes at market open, and what do we do here? Let's see if we sweep this low. Low swept, so we have a sweep of sell side right here. Sell side swept, testing the third fair value gap on the 1 hour, respecting it very well from this point. What do we have as well? 15-minute. Look right here. 50-minute bullish imbalance as well. So now I'm seeing all of these things align. Price is clearly in a discount of this dealing range right here. This is the discount below the 0.5 level. So we would find a setup ideally in this at this point, targeting those equal highs. That is in line with the 4-hour, 1 hour, daily, and 15-minute to this point. And so from this point, I want to find a setup here, all stemming from that bias that I formed using sound logic. So I'm going to just show you that right here, this is the discount of our dealing range right here. So anything at this point here is an optimal long to take. Let me write it down. Discount of dealing range. That's what that represents right there. So everything in this point, this lower half, is an optimal long to look for. And so this is where we wait for something to show up on the charts. I go to the 1 minute, I go to the 2 minute. What are we seeing? All right, here we are. We're in that discount still. Price forms a bullish fair value gap on the lower time frame. Right here. Price clearly breaks structure to the upside. We have PD arrays right here. So this is where I would look for a long. Why would I look for a long right here? Let's recap. What is the basis of this trade? Why is our bias so one-sided? Like I said, daily time frame, price is delivering to the upside. Structure is bullish. The state of delivery is bullish. We retested a bullish imbalance. That was respected. Then we go to the 4-hour. The 4-hour, clearly the state of delivery is bullish. The 4-hour imbalance was retested, respected. 1 hour, state of delivery is clearly bullish. Disrespecting bearish imbalances, respecting those bullish imbalances. Retraced into a discount on the 50-minute, into a 15-minute bullish imbalance, sweeps the sell side, and on the lower time frame, we get those confirmations. While there's equal highs on the 50-minute, equal highs on the 4-hour, and relative equal highs on the daily time frame for a clear draw for price to gravitate towards. We have clear highs here that price can go and take out. So yes, this is an A+ trade right here. Off this point for almost 95 points here. 2-to-1 R. And so we wait for the retest, and then we wait to see what price does. And you're starting to see, okay, we're expanding very nicely off that entry. Very nicely. Clear equal highs, and bang. Tapped into it. 92 points almost to those equal highs. Very simple, very easy. Using that bias that we determined from that top-down approach. Using structure, concepts that are very familiar, broken down to make it as easy for you guys to assimilate. All right, so here's another good example of how you can determine bias using this very simple top-down approach. So what do we see here from this point? Clearly, price has ranged for the past couple months. You can really make the case for. And what do we do here? We come up and we sweep these equal highs here in that range. And then from that point, we distribute to the downside. Now, from this point, I want to see, do we have clear objectives to the downside that price can gravitate towards? And I mean, on the daily time frame, clearly this comes out to me. What do we have here? We have several equal lows there. And you'll see right here, all those equal lows on the lower time frame. Very clear, very simple, low resistance there in the making. I want to see, did we take this low here? No, we haven't even taken that low yet as well. So we do have liquidity objectives to the downside. On the way down, what have we done? We've disrespected several opposing fair value gaps. Here on the daily time frame, we have a bearish gap that got retested. And what did we do? We respected it very well to the downside here. So that's been respected. Clearly price is showing an intention to head lower. State of delivery is clearly bearish. Multiple breakaway gaps on the daily time frame here. Price is not even willing to come back up and retrace into these gaps. Clear objectives to the downside. For me, the daily bias is heading to the downside. Now I'm going to go to the 4-hour and see if that confirms, if it's consistent with the daily time frame. So I look here and say, okay, what are we doing on the 4-hour? Heading into that AM session. What do we have? That's what I'm looking for. What do we have from this point? So here on the daily, or sorry, on the 4-hour, price came, tapped into this bearish imbalance here, right here. And as you can see on the 4-hour, this is being respected to this point as well. So from this point we came, tapped into this daily bearish imbalance, inversed this 4-hour bullish imbalance right here to the downside, retested it, respected it, that inverse for value gap, made a move to the downside. 4-hour bearish gap formed here, clear equal lows to the downside. That 4-hour fair value gap is being respected. And look at all these lows here that I'm talking about. Low resistance liquidity right here. Look at all of this liquidity that price can come hunt. So that is the objective that I'm looking for. So for me, the 4 hours consistent with the daily. So this bias of being bearish is valid to this point. I go to the 1 hour. Now what am I seeing on this time frame? What is price doing from this point? Heading into that AM session, I want to look to see what price is doing. All right, what did it do from this point? We formed a 1 hour bearish gap here. Price made a move to the downside now. It's showing that, okay, we're approaching those objectives. Are we going to maintain that? This 1 hour bearish imbalance here is going to be taken into account. 4 hour has been respected. Clearly 1 hour bullish imbalances are being disrespected. Clear objectives to the downside that I mentioned, low resistance liquidity. So I want to see what price does in this 1 hour bearish gap. It took this low. I want to see if price respects this 1 hour gap and pushes prices lower to these equal lows. So for me right now, the 1 hour, 4 hour, and daily all agree that there is a willingness to head lower. The state of delivery is bearish. Daily bearish imbalances are being respected. 4 hour bullish imbalances are being disrespected. 4 hour bearish imbalances are being respected. 1 hour is the same as well. It is consistent. And so on the 50-minute, for me, what catches my eye? We have two 15-minute bearish fair value gaps right here. So I'm going to mark these out. I want to see if price does want to dig into a premium and give me an optimal short. I want to see if price shows a willingness to come dig into a premium here, give us an optimal short to the downside to these equal lows. If that's the case, then we have something to take. If price were to just go down continuously, I probably wouldn't have a trade to take. So here's where I'm looking now. Okay, as you can see on the 15-minute, we dig into that those bearish imbalances here. I'm going to go on the lower time frame and look for confirmations to the downside. Do we get something worth taking? This is where we look here. So we're going to let this play out here. What do we start seeing? Okay, heading into market open, I want to see some sort of manipulation, some sort of sweep of highs, and then a move to the downside. So market open comes, I want to see potential sweep of highs and then a willingness to head lower. So what do we get? If we don't get that and price just comes lower, probably wouldn't have anything to take. That's it, that's all. Price is starting to make a move to the downside. Again, nothing for me to take just yet. Price then comes, takes this low, sweeps liquidity. I want to see, do we get a sweep of highs? We have several highs here that price can come take out before making a move to those equal lows. What do we get here in that 50-minute bearish gap? We get a sweep of these highs right here. So there's that sweep. Internal sweep here with clear objectives to the downside. Daily's bearish, 4 hours bearish, 1 hour's bearish, 50-minute, we get the confirmations in that bearish gap. 1 minute internal sweep into a premium. We can look potentially for an entry now off that internal sweep to the downside. So no need for this 50-minute gap anymore. We tapped into this one here. I want to see what price does from this point. Do we inverse this gap? That's what I want to see happen. I want to see price inverse this bullish gap right here. That's what I'm looking for us to get. No entry just yet. Still from this point, no entry at this point. Still nothing for us to take. I still don't have an entry just yet. I'm going to wait for price to show me something worth taking. I want to see price clearly break structure. We didn't get that just yet. Price did not break structure. Again, that's a key point that I'm looking for. So nothing just yet for me to take. The bias is clearly bearish. And so I want to see what price does from this point, up to this point. And now we finally get what I'm looking for. Why is this valid to me? All right. So to recap, daily time frame, clearly structure is bearish. Clearly the state of delivery is bearish. Bearish imbalance is being respected. On the 4-hour, bullish imbalances are being disrespected. It's consistent with the daily time frame. Bearish imbalances are being respected. On the 1-hour, same thing. Bearish imbalances are being respected. Clear low resistance to the downside, equal lows. 50-minute, we got to dig into that bearish imbalance into a premium. Internal sweep here on the 1-minute. And now we get the confirmations. Price is showing a willingness. What do we get? We inverse this gap right here. Inverse of this bullish fair value gap right here. So we have an inverse gap here. Bearish fair value gap form here off the internal sweep. 50-minute rebalance. Clear equal lows to the downside. All right. I would look for an entry off the retest of this fair value gap. Stop above the high. And target those lows. For around a 2.5 to 1R off that fair value gap there. Like I said, we have several lows. Lots of liquidity to the downside to come take. And I'm going to wait for the retest of that gap. And that would be my entry. If we get the retest. There we go. So there's the entry right there off that fair value gap. Inverse gap there. Equal lows. Clear objectives to the downside. So now off that rebalance, to recap, the daily, 4-hour, 1-hour are all bearish in terms of delivery. All the bearish imbalances are being respected. Bullish imbalances are being disrespected. Clear low resistance liquidity to the downside. Clear objectives there for price to gravitate towards. We get a 50-minute rebalance and a premium in that 50-minute bearish imbalance. Internal sweep of these highs right here. Inverse this gap right here. Form this fair value gap. Displace that bullish gap. Retest that fair value gap right here. That is our entry. Targeting that low resistance. See what price does. All in the AM session. So nothing just yet. And there we go. So price moves around 224 points for a clean 2.5 to 1R practically. Very nice move to those objectives. Using that bias, using proper structure and price, using familiar concepts that we know, and utilizing it to your advantage. So this is how you can determine bias. This is how you can use that top-down approach to formulate a bias, to formulate moves, and take full advantage of this type of analysis. So with that being said, I hope you learned something insightful of how to determine bias, how to find the draws on liquidity, how to see if the market is one-sided or not, using very simple concepts. So I wish you good luck, good trading, and take care, everybody.